Hey, Mitch.
Aloha, Ed.
Hey, are you enjoying the cruise?
Yeah, I'm really loving this boat, but I'm a little worried about this railing. Are you sure this thing is safe?
Oh, come on. The Pacific Princess, she's the queen of the ocean. I love this boat. Hey, and aren't there
What?
so many gorgeous women on board?
Oh, it's babelicious, that's for
Oh,
sure.
absolutely. Is that Cheryl Ladd?
Where?
There.
Oh, hey, whoa!
Nah, I think it's just Betty White. Mitch? Hey, Mitch. Probably gone to the Tahini Lounge. Oh, well.
Hey, Ed. Ed, stop the boat. Ed? Oh, I'm sure they're going to come back for me. I mean, oh no. Not again. Curse you, gopher.
Hi, this is Ed Dollister.
And this is Mitch Halleck.
And welcome to another exciting episode of Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure. If it's your first time here, thanks so much for clicking on us and stopping by. If you are a regular viewer or one of our subscribers, we've got over 500 subscribers now, so thank you so much. It's great to have you back. But if you want to find out a little bit more about the show or get notified, what can you do, Mitch?
Well, Ed, is it easy as going to the Lido deck and rubbing some suntan lotion all over Doc Bricker's back? All you have to do is hit the subscribe button and you'll be able to join Ed and I on an excellent adventure. And if you're really kinky, hit the bell off to the side and you'll get notified the next time Ed decides to put another one of these little episodes up on YouTube to tell you about that. And just for the heck of it, just hit the like button to say that you like what we do, because it makes us feel all warm and fuzzy inside. That's about it. And it's as simple as going up to Isaac and getting a Harvey Wallbanger.
That's right. And you might be thinking, hey, Ed, Mitch, okay, I get it. You do Buck Rogers, you do Battlestar Galactica, you do Star Wars, Kolchak, The Love Boat. Why are you talking about The Love Boat? Well, if you love all those shows, odds are that one or most of the cast of those shows have been a guest star on The Love Boat. So you owe it to yourself to watch The Love Boat. Sorry.
I was going to just add, it's exciting and new. Come on board.
We're expecting you.
We're expecting you.
That's
love.
Right. We can't play it, unfortunately. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the theme. But The Love Boat came out in 1977. It's a classic TV series from the 1970s that has invaded pop culture to this day. Obviously, we're still talking about it. People still love it. They know that amazing Jack Jones theme song. I have actually a number of Jack Jones albums. And I've got to say that he brought out a disco version in 1979. We used that when we were doing the Neil Simon play Rumors. I used to play that in the theater before we would get started to go on to get in the mood.
Get in the mood. Get pumped up.
It was a fantastic theme and it was a fantastic show. Did you watch The Love Boat when it first came out?
Oh, you better believe I did, Ed. In fact, I remember when it was just a TV movie. In fact, it was not one, not two, three different TV movies with three different captains aboard the Love Boat. It was on ABC, had these notorious movies of the week. They all had them, actually, CBS, NBC, but ABC always had these real kitschy ones that always had like, Death Star, not Death Star, but they had like Death Defying.
The Death Star.
That was another episode. No, but they were known for their like spectacles. Okay. They had Fantasy Island. We'll talk about that another time. That was a bunch of TV movies and then it became a show. But Love Boat was one of those things where it had an all-star cast, which was a big thing in the 70s. Every feature film had an all-star cast, Towering Inferno, all those movies we talked about before. So why not do it on television? But not big screen actors, but small screen actors. So you would watch a show and you'd start to see a lot of familiar faces that you grew up with, and they'd all be on the ship. It was like Hallmark on the high seas. They all went on the ship for a little cruise, and who was a widower and who just got divorced and who was too committed to their job and who was never going to find love. And before you know it, when they came back into shore at the end of the show, they had already found the love of their life through the magic of the open seas and the Pacific Princess. It was happily ever after. So yes, Ed, to answer your question, I did indeed watch The Love Boat. It was a fun show, and it was a Saturday night not to be missed for all us losers who had nowhere to go and no dates or anything. So we were sitting by the TV set watching The Love Boat every Saturday. Here in the States, it was on at 9:00 at night, followed by Fantasy Island. So there.
The actual TV series ran for 250 episodes. It ran from 1977 all the way through to 1986, 87, depending in certain places. And it was an hour-long TV show that the format was pretty much the same. It had 3 acts, usually something involving the crew, then something involving the crew and one of the passengers, and then usually a third story focusing on just one of the passengers. So you used to follow it along. And the thing that I liked about it, when I first watched it, I was 7, 8, 9, and I pretty much watched it throughout, mid-teens. I probably dropped off a little bit. I do remember in 1981, it was really exciting because they actually came to Australia. There was the Australian episode where they came into Sydney, which was pretty exciting. But I remember it coming on, it must have been 10 years ago. It was on reruns, and I religiously watched it, from go to woe. And I think it's something nice about that episode was about the shows. It was really easy to watch. There were beautiful people. It wasn't anything too deep. You could,
they didn't have ugly people. That was on like the love steam tramp or whatever you call it.
I know. That's right. Everyone was gorgeous. I love watching those girls in the bikinis. Everyone was freezing in that studio in the swimming pool that was probably only 2 feet deep.
Terry Hatcher was one of those in the background.
She was actually one of the Love Boat mermaids in the last
Love Boat mermaids,
86 to 87, in the last season. Background. So, but again, you had a really amazing cast. If we fast forward through from the telemovies, which sort of launched.
Oh, we're already there.
We're going straight to this.
We had.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say there was other doctors, like there was Dick Van Patten, who was one of the doctors, and then they, like I said, they had an Australian actor as the first captain, and the second captain I can't remember, but it wasn't until the third movie that Gavin MacLeod, fresh off the Mary Tyler Moore show where he played Murray, came aboard as the new Captain Steubing, and he was supposed to be like a no-nonsense captain. The character was supposed to be like, he's all Navy and all that stuff, if I recall. But wasn't there like a tragic story behind his character? Did he lose his wife? Did she pass away?
That's correct.
He went out to sea.
Yes. So yes, she was at the back of the ship and he reversed over her. Unfortunately, it was horrible.
Oh, that's
no, he did lose his wife. So that's when he also had his daughter on board.
Joe Whalen.
Vicky, he started off a little bit more serious and straight-laced, but as the season, you can imagine over 10 years, 250 episodes.
Loosened up. Yeah.
He did loosen up, and I think that worked a little bit better. It fit in the theme and the storytelling of The Love Boat. He, as Captain Steubing, you mentioned earlier on, Dr. Adam Bricker.
Bernie Capel.
Where is he? Can we get him on the phone?
Bernie Capel, real side story here. Bernie Capel is alive and well as we tape this. He lives in New Jersey, last I spoke to him. And I know this because he contacted me through email and phone calls. And he wants often to be a guest at my Terrificon, happening at the Mohegan Sun every summer. I have not invited him, though. No offense, Mr. Capel, if you're out there watching it. Very funny man. I remember him from being on Get Smart.
Well, that's where I remember him from.
Yeah, Siegfried. He was the leader of Chaos.
Oh my gosh, he was. He's brilliant. You know, wonderful comic timing, and he
long career, long comedy career,
and he basically plays sort of like the playboy-ish sort of doctor.
Yes,
you know, a bit of a swinger, a bit of a mover and shaker, but
yes,
with a heart of gold.
Yeah.
And then they had Isaac the barman. So in that the third telemovie, played by Ted Lange, and he is basically I suppose they were the three that have been in all 250 episodes of the show.
In fact, the one I actually really liked was Fred Grandy, who was Gopher, the purser aboard the ship. But the reason why I was a big fan of his, because in the mid-70s, he was the star of my favorite live action Saturday morning live action show. It was called The Monster Squad. It had nothing to do with the movie that came out years later. And it was only on for one season. And what he did, he played a caretaker or a curator at a museum, a wax museum, if I remember. And they had wax figures of the Wolfman, Dracula, and Frankenstein. And he would somehow manage to control these guys, and they would come to life, and he would use them to fight crime. And it was like a crazy idea. It was long before Ghostbusters. They didn't have that other show, but it was called The Monster Squad. It only ran for a year, but Fred Grandy was the star of that show. And I recognized him instantly when The Love Boat came on. I was like, oh, that's the guy from The Monster Squad. So I was watching it from there. And of course, Fred Grandy would go on to be a real life politician, senator from Ohio. After Love Boat was over, he ran for office. And I think he took the spot that John Glenn, the astronaut, had in Ohio. So he filled his position. He ran for office. He served for many years. And that's his deal. And then, of course, we have
the cruise director, Julie McCoy.
Lauren Tews. Yeah, she played Julie McCoy, the cruise director, who always made sure everybody was having fun.
That's right. And everyone was playing, tricks on her. And a little bit later on, she left, I think 70, 80, 84, 85. And then her sister came on.
Yeah.
Julie McCoy. Oh,
Julie came back. She came back before the show ended.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
So
not much, but she came back just to make an appearance. So
and then of course we had, who's usually the death knell of any TV show.
Ted McGinley.
Yes, Ted McGinley, who came on as as Ace, the ship photographer.
Yeah. And then we just mentioned earlier, Vicky, the captain's daughter, came.
Yes, of course. Who I remembered from Flying High. Sorry, Airplane. You call it Airplane. We call it Flying High here. As the patient.
Who? Jill Whalen?
Yeah, the girl who's having that transplant in Airplane.
I thought she was. Oh yeah. Oh, the movie Airplane.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, she is the girl in that movie, but I thought she was on the other show, Facts of Life.
No.
That's not her?
No.
Oh, I thought she went on to another show.
No.
Sorry. Wrong
That's
Whalen.
Okay. That's all right.
Well, maybe I'm thinking of the girl from the Go-Go's.
Belinda Carlisle.
No, the other Whalen. There was a Whalen on that Go-Go.
Waylon Jennings.
No.
Look, I'm a bit under the weather, right?
I know. Well, anyway, yes, they were on the Love Boat, but the Love Boat was in its own universe. Did you know that? Just like Starsky and Hutch had Bay City, which didn't exist outside of, was it Aaron Spelling's mind?
Yes.
The Love Boat also only existed in the world of Aaron Spelling, because I know this. They had a crossover with Charlie's Angels.
They did.
So the Charles Townsend Detective Agency was a real place, and it was real because they interacted with the Love Boat. So that meant they were in their own little pocket universe. That means Dan Tana from Vegas was also real, because Robert Urich, in a weird twist of fate,
I know where you're going.
He appeared on Charlie's Angels when his show Vegas started, and they said, oh, this is a new show. And I bring this full circle because the sequel series, The Love Boat, The Next Wave, starred Robert Urich as the captain of the new Love Boat.
That's correct.
Along with Joan Severance and Greg Morris's son.
Phil Morris, yes.
Phil Morris, yeah. He was the new Isaac he was the new bartender.
Yep.
And I think it only lasted a season or two.
It did. I remember watching that, and it was okay, but it wasn't.
But they had a crossover episode where the original cast came on.
They did.
Which was cool.
Yeah, I think that was really good. And in fact, maybe last year or two, no, it wouldn't have been last year, maybe 2 years ago. I know that on the cruise lines, the Pacific Cruise Lines, they had a Love Boat themed safety message, and they had the original crew doing part of that. With the
they
original
did, cast. Unfortunately, it was a year or so ago that Gavin MacLeod passed away.
That's right.
He was, I think he was like 92.
Yeah.
So, but they were all there. No, I saw them not too long ago. They had a 40th anniversary or so.
Yes.
And they all came on television. They did it like a tour. And Gavin MacLeod and Jill Whalen were actually working for the Pacific Cruise Line. They were like the spokespeople for the cruise line industry. So yeah, they were always out there doing stuff. They would even be on ships. You can go and take a cruise with the Love Boat cast, and they would be on the show. So
I would love to do that.
Very surreal.
They're just starting cruises back up here in Australia. I think in the next month they're getting. You need to
you already got the shirt.
I know. That's why this is my 1970s Hawaiian shirt. I'm ready to go.
Get on the leeward deck. Yeah.
I used to love that. I just used to like all the the thing about the Love Boat as well. It was funny. It was not popular at the time, but as an hour series, it had a laugh track, which was not popular on series late in the 70s, especially an hour long. And they kept that laugh track. I kind of like that. It just sort of kept it a bit more light and jovial, and it reminded me what was funny, which was always good.
I was gonna say, I always thought laugh tracks were odd because it's kind of like the writers telling you, "Hey, stupid, you're supposed to laugh now." It's like, oh,
well, I didn't mind that. I love what I do love watching the Love Boat is that 70s fashion, especially all those at the
wide collars and the big ties and all that stuff.
Fantastic. And the thing that the Love Boat really is famous for is its guest stars.
Oh God. Man.
And I've got to say, if you are a fan of old Hollywood, it's amazing to be able to see all these, they have I'm not saying past their prime, but they have maybe moved into
their twilight
retirement.
Of their career.
But seeing some absolutely amazingly huge, Academy Award winning stars.
Oh, yeah, Don Amici. Yeah.
Don Amici. You had you had so many amazing guest stars, and that was part of the fun at the start of the show. Is fantastic. We'll see this. Bill, I was going to say,
Roddy McDowall's been on there plenty of times, and
I have. Do you know who the star is? Who's the star that you think has had the most guest appearances on the Love Boat?
Mickey Rooney.
No.
Okay. It's not Billy Crystal, though. He was on a couple of them. Is it Roddy McDowall?
No, it's not. See, I originally thought it was going to be, Charo. Coochie Coochie.
Yeah.
She always appear on.
She would, showing her belly button. Yeah.
Yes, she would always.
Paul Williams.
No, he was on. Paul Williams, who wrote the song.
He wrote the music. He wrote the theme. Yeah.
It was actually so Charo was on 10 times. Yeah, she would stow away and everything like that, and everything would work out.
Charles Nelson Riley.
Charles Nelson Riley was. I used to love. Do you remember Uncle Croc's Block?
Yeah, Uncle Croc's Block.
Yeah, I used to love that show. That's a whole. There's an episode.
That's a whole show that had Mush on.
Yeah.
So who was it?
It was Marion Ross.
Mrs. C was on the Love Boat.
She was on 14 times.
She's still with us. She's in her 90s.
Yes. And do you know what? In Captain Stubing's send off, they got married.
Really? Yeah. I did not know that. I did not know that. Why did she play a recurring character, or was she different?
Well, it's funny when you have a look. I mean, for a show that's run 10 years, 250 episodes, it's like when we were watching Mission Impossible, which ran for like seven seasons. In the early seasons, you see a lot of actors coming back playing different characters. They did have a few recurring characters, but most of the time that they played, different characters. You had Tom Hanks was on.
Bosom Buddies was probably a thing.
Patrick Duffy appeared. The Man from Atlantis.
Yeah. Was Victoria Principal on there?
I'm pretty. I can't. I'll say yes or no.
I know. Who, I can tell you, Scott Baio,
Scott Baio, Tom
Aaron
Bosley
Moran was on there. Yeah.
The most of the cast of MASH has been on.
Really?
On yes.
Oh well,
Loretta
I could
Swit, Jamie Farr, Gary Berghoff.
Yeah,
Ian
I don't
Christopher.
think Alan Alda was in. Yeah, but none of the Alan Alda or Mike Farrell or Wayne.
No,
Rogers.
but you did have
McLean Stevenson probably.
He was, and so was
Larry
Colonel
Linville?
Potter. He was on Harry Morgan.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yep. You had a lot of the cast of Happy Days, Erin Moran as well. You had who else did you have? You had a lot of the cast of I think is it All in the Family?
All in the Family? Yeah.
The Mary Tyler Moore Show, I think.
Oh, well, that would have been something. Ted Knight, I'm sure, was on.
Yeah,
there.
Ted Knight definitely was on. You had so many, so many familiar faces. David Hasselhoff makes an appearance. Tim Robbins, very early on in his career, makes an appearance. There are so many. If you look through the guest list, you're going, "Oh my god, that's cool. That's kind of cool." Yeah. To see. It was also interesting. They had the first, not the first, but they had a same-sex couple of these two men who were on the cruise together in the early 80s, which was quite ahead of its time.
Yeah. Was Donnie Marie on there?
The Osmond, James Osmond or
Jimmy
Osmond Oz, and Don Osmond, Donnie was. I'm not sure about Marie. I would find it hard, if not, I would suspect they were. I don't think they're together. I know Tony Tennille was on, so I assume the captain was on. Daryl Dragon was on as well. Yeah. But they had so many guest stars, so many episodes, and unfortunately, they've only released like the first 4 seasons on DVD.
Oh, really? I was going to say, is there a box set of all these? No,
only the 4 seasons. So you have to sort of dig a little bit to find some of them on streaming services. So yeah. But, you sort of, we always go, well, was there any merchandise? Was there any merchandise, Mitch?
No, I know there was merchandise. In fact, there was a really bad idea merchandise with Mego, the folks that made the world's greatest superheroes and the Planet of the Apes toys and Star Trek, because they came out with 3 3/4 inch Love Boat figures of the whole crew.
Yep.
And they even made, it's very hard to come by here in the States, but they made a play set. A Love Boat play set that had the different rooms, like the different cabins and such like that.
They do. In fact, I was at a shop in Melbourne, Lobo's Collectibles, and they have a boxed version of the ship. It's almost as big if you think of the G.I. Joe USS Flag. I think it's like huge. It's like maybe
almost as big as Jabba's sail barge, huh?
You're absolutely right. It's really big. They've got it for about $1,500.
Oh my! You can buy the sail barge.
Yeah, and then they've also got a set of the carded figures as well.
The figures,
they're not that cheap either. You would sort of think.
No. There was 2 play sets with the Love Boat. One was the one from Mego.
Yes.
Where you could put the 3 3/4 figures in there, and the little known fact, if you do get one of these things loose, and you do get some of the deck furniture and the beds and all that, and it has a different brand name on it, like you say, hey, this is a Mego. Mego was losing its shirt down then. They were going down. The company was losing. So they outsourced the accessories, the little plastic accessories. Yep. So they were made by a third party.
Yes.
But there's a second Love Boat play set, which has like little tiny plastic soldiers, like the little guys from Toy Story, but they're not articulated. That one's more like a traditional, little boat.
I think that's is that the vacuum formed
vacuum formed, the plastic, that's that. But do they have a lunchbox, Ed? Everybody has a lunchbox.
I don't know, but if they do,
I don't.
I want one.
I know, but there was a Love Boat board game. I know that.
Yes, and there was a Mad magazine parody called Love This Boat.
Yeah.
So
what could you really merchandise though?
I know. Well, maybe T-shirt. I assume, and again, we've said how it's entered the popular lexicon. So I assume on the cruise ships, which are no longer with us, the actual Pacific Princess cruise ships, they were scuttled a long time ago, but I'm
There
sure
was
you
two
can
of
still.
them.
Yeah, that's right.
There's two of them. One was used for the interiors and one was used for the far shots. Both are, like you said, are gone. They've been used for scrap metal.
Yeah.
One was actually a drug ship. Some seedy history there. The ship that they used on the show was caught off the coast of Colombia carrying like millions of dollars of drugs, but they eventually ended up in like Turkey or something like that, and they got demolished and really creepy. Two of the guys that were demolishing the ship died of carbon monoxide poisoning. I don't know. It's a true story though. But anyway,
I'm sure Grindhouse will make a gritty, remake.
Right. Love Boat of Death.
They already did, didn't they? Do Fantasy Island like that as well, like a horror movie?
It was horrible.
I know. Horrible. Anyway,
speaking of Fantasy Island, the Love Boat had a crossover at Fantasy Island.
It did. Yes, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the Love Boat went to Fantasy Island because the shows were like
they were back to back, weren't they?
Back to back, yeah. And they're both made by Aaron Spelling. And there was some type of one episode I remember, the Love Boat goes to Fantasy Island. Yeah. So,
I was just thinking, do you miss the days where, you used to sit down on a Saturday night or whatever and go, really looking forward to watching, one episode and then the next one and not really knowing.
Yeah.
I sort of missed
that.
No,
honestly, when Disney came back with The Mandalorian a couple of years, 3 years ago, that waiting every week for that episode to come on, none of that streaming, none of dropping all the episodes at once, none of it you have to watch and binge watch it. The fact that you had to wait week to week to watch a show was really cool. And in fact, if they had set it for 8 o'clock at night, like the old days, like we had to wait for a certain time, that would have been even better. But I guess they couldn't do it with the whole streaming thing. But I like that whole process. I remember it meant that a week was over. You had something to look forward to. Like if you had a crappy job or a crappy week at school or things weren't going right, you knew come Saturday night, it would be the end of the week. And it's kind of like, oh, we're going to have some great shows. The best TV was always on Saturday night. CBS here in the States, you had MASH, Mary Tyler Moore, the Bob Newhart Show, the Carol Burnett Show. And I remember there was a big toss up which channel you would watch because we didn't have multiple views and all that. Carol Burnett was on at 10 o'clock. Love Boat was on at 9. So you'd be able to watch Love Boat and then you'd flip the channels and watch Carol Burnett. Or if Fantasy Island had some good guests, you'd watch that. But it was really a nice period of time in history that they don't have anymore.
Yeah, I think that, and especially when they had like a two-parter, like you go, to be continued.
Very dramatic.
Which they did do quite a few of those. I think they even did a 3-parter, which was which is going, oh my gosh, that's pretty involved. So there's lots to like in the Love Boat. There's lots to love in it. The Love Boat.
Nothing. No, I just said a Menage a Trois Love Boat episode. That was
there was so many.
Doc Bricker probably got crazy.
I think so. There was an episode where he swore off women for
for at least minutes. An episode, at least 30 minutes. Yeah. And did you know there was a big faux pas on that show? Every week, the crew would meet people as they came aboard.
Yes.
Right? That's how they'd introduce the guest stars. Isaac would be up there. Now, that is a duty only given to maritime officers, people that were actually in service. He was a bartender. He was not part of the Navy experience or whatever. So they had to write in an episode or a backstory why he was allowed to do that. And there was some story where there was a fire on board and Isaac went back and saved a couple people. And because of his heroic deeds, he was made an honorary Navy personnel. So that's why he was allowed to be up there saying hello to people as they came aboard. Remember the big to-do was people that got to eat at the captain's table?
Yes.
Now, I took a cruise, and I remember my wife and my kids, we were on this cruise ship, and I remember they announced that, like, there'd be dining. And I'll tell you what, I didn't know the whole thing. I didn't know the whole world of the cruise stuff till we did it. There is a whole subculture of wearing your best outfit. You don't just show up in, like, jeans and sweatshirts and a T-shirt, but you don't know this stuff until you go on a cruise, and it is really like old-time stuff where you'd see people in suits and ties and women in dresses, and everybody looks really well. Because when you'd go out to dinner that night, it was just like a fancy posh restaurant, and you had to look your best. And then they still have that. So on the big cruise ships,
that's why I've got that tux from the opening.
You do.
I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting.
You're like, where would I ever dress up like that? But I remember we went on the ship and we're like, oh my God, good thing we brought some clothes to change into, because everyone dresses up, because this was the cruise back in the day. If you've seen Titanic, it was meant for the wealthy, where all the great unwashed got to be below deck and shovel coal into the engine room. They never did a lower decks episode of the Love Boat. It would have been nice to see what was going on down in steerage.
That's right, like a tag and bink, down there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That would have been good. But it's certainly worth a watch. And if you do have a favorite, like if you love The Night Stalker, then go check out that episode.
That's right.
Gavin as the guest star. It's always good. If you love Gilligan's Island, you've got Bob Denver's on there. You've got
Alan Hale.
You've got all these, just great celebrities on, and you've got the cast who are really just have a really good chemistry, and they seem to be really enjoying what they're doing.
I don't think bring that show back.
I wonder. Well, not in the age of COVID. People are scared of Bruce a bit, unfortunately. But maybe they could do it on a spaceship.
Ooh, that'd be something, huh?
Yeah.
Love Boat on a spaceship. It's kind of like Star Trek meets the Love Boat. I could watch that.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's
Can you imagine all those multi-tentacled aliens and all that?
Doctor Who was on. Well, he was on the Titanic in space.
Yeah, that's true.
Where he was on a cruise ship. Yeah. I'd watch it. Anyway, it's too bad you can't get all the episodes too. I know. I can see the box set collection coming in a little boat, and you open it up, and it plays the theme. They used to play the theme song, bars from the theme song, when the ship would come into port.
Yes.
On the cruise would go, bim, 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 or something like that. Don't want to set the YouTube police off.
No, we don't. That's all right. They'll be bursting through. That's all right. So check out The Love Boat if you can. Also check out our other episodes. How can you do that, Mitch? What's a good way?
Oh, Ed, it is easy as walking up that gangplank and bumping right into Roddy McDowell or Charles Nelson Riley or Ethel Merman. All you do is just, right there, hit subscribe, and you can find out all about our show, or visit our channel. Go to the little thing in the corner that says visit channel and scroll through all our episodes. The man from
we've got about 55 different episodes, and that's right. And we've got a new episode coming every 2 weeks. And if there's something that you really want us to cover as well, don't forget, just put it down in the comments.
Yeah, right there.
We'll endeavor to get to it. Or you can
Ed reads all your comments.
I do. I'm the one who's always replying, not me.
I know. Now and then I kind of pop in and look and go, hey.
All right. Well, that's it. Get your cruise legs ready. Get your the Tahini Lounge. Get your cocktails and enjoy the Love Boat. I think you will. This is Ed Dollister.
And this is Purser First Class, Mitch Halleck.
And
shove off.
Same to you, mate. We'll see you next time on the next episode of Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure. Take care.
That's the air horn.